Hello, Paola and I are here today to talk to you about the exciting, powerful possibilities that can happen when you use light in your learning. I think I need to share with you as well part of the story, how this came about. We are well aware that light is used all over the world to help children learn. But actually, we had very firm key objectives in mind of what we wanted. We wanted a safe solution where the child was at the centre of the play, but actually was the instigator, was in control, was at the heart of the play. We are very influenced by the characteristics of learning and the EYFS. And taking all this in mind, we decided to go on a bit of an adventure. And with the innovation team, we set about creating this. Now, this may look like a simple block, and actually it's deliberately designed like that. But this simple block is so much more. The reason we were so happy when our designers and our team were able to create this for us was because it meant that the child could be independent. It wasn't the adult positioning the light and then saying interact in front of it and position. No, it was the child who switches it on. They position it wherever they want to position it. It's portable. It can go on crates, it can go on the floor. They can manoeuvre it so that the focus can be different. It can be for tiny little things, or they can project a large expanse. It can become part of the block play because it's a block itself. So we were very excited. We also wanted something that was rechargeable. I didn't want trailing wires. I wanted the children to be in a room where they could dance and whirl and twirl in the shadows and the light. I wanted something as well that gave the correct light control. So we worked with the safety team, and actually they advised us about the light emissions and what was right, and managed to work through all that and get a light that we're not nervous about the children using. So with all that in mind, we set about creating the light projector. Now, why is this so important to us? It's because we wanted a truly STEAM-based learning approach. Some of you may say STEM, stream, but I think we have a common understanding of how we want to integrate the subjects, how we want the child to learn in a way that's meaningful. So what is the science? Well, look around you. The children can use so many different materials. I'd urge you to really look about your construction and loose parts play area and look and think, have I got blocks that are wooden, or have I got blocks that connect, that balance, that are transparent, that are made of different materials, so the children can learn about the properties and how they react, not just in one scenario, but in this light laboratory scenario. We want them to experiment, explore, to discover, to revise. That's what scientists do. Even down to the fabrics you choose. Think about those. I also like to think about how we display things. Think about this. Will the light go through? Think about the scientific terminology. Is it paper? Is it shiny? Does it crack up? Do we want them to know the words iridescent, opaque, shiny, dull, metallic, wood? So think about the materials that the children can have ready access to. So they are the curator, they can select. What about the technology? Well, the technology is a fundamental part of this, the safe technology. It enhances and it enriches the experience. The children learn about cause and effect, stimulus response, but they are the ones who take ownership. They are empowered because they are the one flicking the switch, moving the light source around. What about the engineering? Well, think of all the things that they could create as they balance the materials. What are they going to build? Are they going to build a machine, a robot, a tower? Are they going to make it so that things pivot, balance, stretch? Think about the joining techniques you offer the children. Have they got access to pegs? Have they got access to tape, string? So not only are they helping the fine motor skills, but they're learning different joining techniques. They're manipulating, manoeuvring, they're imagining, they're investigating, they're doing all sorts of things that are engineering, but they are doing it in a meaningful way. What about the A, the art, the creative side? Wow, where do you start? They create their own canvas. That light on the wall can be so many things. It can be about patterns. They can be inspired by an artist. It can be about texture. It can be about colour. Think about the language as well that will immerse, the lexicon. Will it be ruby, crimson? Will there be a shadowy? Will it be different shades of grey? Will it be an opalescence? Think about the language that can occur. You imagine that there's stories that can unfold as they manipulate the pieces in front of them. Perhaps they're making up their own stories. Perhaps they've set up a magic carpet ride. Perhaps they're going to create a scene where it's down in the oceans and they've got fish all around them. Or they could use plants and it could become a jungle. So they are the artist. But perhaps they might be puppeteers. Perhaps they might dance and move. Perhaps there might be music in the background and they use the shadows and the light. And they might put light within light. Using some of the lighter materials, they might layer the light and create their own artist's impression. Maths. So much maths. Think about shape. Perhaps it might be all around circles or spheres, and you give the children opportunities to explore the concept. It might be about weight. It might be about space or measure. It might be about number. Imagine having a number activity. For example, they might be working on something like the 5 speckled frogs, and they can take the frogs away as they jump into the pond that's nice and cool. It can be about preposition. Perhaps it's about size, where it's about teeny tiny miniature things, or giant landscapes, humongous, huge. So you can see it helps with the literacy of all the different STEAM areas. Now, the literacy, the communication, the language enriching is so integral to all this, as is the collaboration, the negotiating skills, the working with others, the taking the turns, the problem solving. It's about the curious child. For me, it's about I wonder. I'm working on this project. It's made me wonder. I wonder what these materials would look like when I use them with the projector. How will they react? It's also about independence. And that feels good to a child when they can feel that they own it, they're in control. They're not acting on somebody else's initiated ideas. But perhaps there are times when it would be good to have provocations. Perhaps you might set up, as an educator, imagine a baker's shop, and the children walk into this beautiful baker's shop scene. Perhaps there are 5 currant buns in the baker's shop. Imagine singing that. But actually then the children can go on and utilise various materials. Perhaps it's clay, perhaps collage, loose parts, could be anything. And they can make their own shop. In fact, they can make all kinds of role play scenarios. It could be Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. It could be the Teddy Bear's Tea Party. There are so many possibilities. I think when you are sharing a rhyme, this is a lovely opportunity. Imagine cutting out an outline of a bus and the wheels on the bus. And not only are they acting it out, but they actually can stand behind the silhouettes and pretend to be on the bus. And there's so many other things you could do like that. It's also an opportunity to rethink how you do phonics. Imagine if you have a silhouette of a phoneme and you could have collections and the children could place them, or actually you could find the odd one out. It could be a collection to do with r or t. It's a fun way of looking at a very familiar theme, but reimagining it. I also like the idea of something like this. So you share a story, but imagine if you've got your own elephant collection and you can create those. It might be that you give the children different materials and they can cut out and make their own stained glass window type elephants. It might be that you explore a certain theme. It might be holes. It might be, imagine things like that. They're in your home corner. Imagine setting up things like sun timers or things that twist and turn. Or it could be you put the playhouse in there or the doll's house, giving a different effect. Now I'm going to hand you over now to Paula, whose practice in her own setting is extraordinary. Her work with light is just incredible, and I'd like to share that with you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this online space where I'll be sharing knowledge, insights, theories, and practical ideas to incorporate light into your learning approaches. My name is Paula Lopez. I'm the founder and creative director at Kinderwood Children's Academy in Ocala, Florida. Our journey with light and shadow play began several years ago when we discovered the educational context in Reggio Emilia's infant toddler centers and preschools. In 2005, we became intrigued with the Ray of Light Atelier as a place of research and experimentation where light in its different forms is investigated through explorations, provoking wonder and curiosity while promoting creativity and deeper knowledge. During our early research with light, the use of torches, mirrors, lamps, and projectors became a part of our daily practice. The more we observed children, the more we became curious about the use of materials as they explore concepts of symmetry, repetition, patterns, and other ideas that can certainly be traced to science, technology, reading and writing, engineering, art, and math. In today's session, I'll be sharing activities, resources, materials, and theories behind light play. So let's begin by looking at base theories of light and what this type of play represents to children. So when we think of theories of light, the nature of light has always been an intriguing topic that has been investigated for decades. Several interpretations and ideas from the fields of science, philosophy, and art have been discussed. However, there's an aspect of light that has always been considered. We need light to live. So from this point of view, multiple theories have been formulated throughout the years and in our present. It is clear that if we see things through our eyes, it's because there's light. But how does light affect objects? What relation does it have to colors? And the most important question, what is light? Light is a form of energy produced by a light source. But the questions about the actual transmission of light and the scientific theories of how we see color are inappropriate for young children, since light travels faster than anything we currently know, and colors are determined by the wavelength of the light. This can be seen when light passes through a prism. Here we see Isaac Newton, who began a series of experiments with sunlight and prisms. He demonstrated that clear white light was composed of 7 visible colors. He identified the colors red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet that make up the visual spectrum. Aside from noticing the beauty of the colors produced by the prism, there is little in creating those colors that help us understand the science of color. So why study light? Investigating light provides the perfect opportunity for magical experiences. It enables children to appreciate the awe and wonder of the world around them and provides an environment where children can develop their natural curiosity. Playing with light, it's an innate human need. Children make hypotheses. They set a path of investigation, wondering the why of things. They constantly investigate rich environments and proposals with the guidance of an adult who is present and ask appropriate questions without trying to give too many answers or without interrupting the children's discovery process. When we think of color explorations, it is very likely that the research and discovery processes that children carry out are a synthesis of thousands of years of human history. From playing with shadows to experimenting with the most sophisticated materials, children today investigate the properties of light and color to make hypotheses and test results. In this image, we see children experimenting with a light projector that invites learning about color, pattern, composition, and form. Change and transformation are subjects central to science curricula and are understood by even the youngest learners with tools and materials designed to explore light and shadow. So we also think of light and sensory explorations. Children learn through their senses. We know this. They explore their world by playing and experimenting, testing and checking. The adult has the function of capturing their movements and creating spaces prepared to activate all their senses, as you'll see in this video. And how does light promote creativity? It is common to observe a small child marveling at the shadows or at the reflections of the sun, and not to mention the celebration that takes place when a rainbow is discovered throughout the environment. Children meet light with curiosity and surprise. The pedagogy of light multiplies, intensifies, and amplifies some spectacular phenomena. The result is aesthetics and design, sensitivity, perception, and freedom. The light environment offers an opportunity to play through light and color, turning a scientific activity into a space for experimentation and artistic expression. And that you will see on the next video. When we take a look at the pedagogy of light, within education, pedagogy is inspired by other disciplines, and there are those who consider it in addition to a science and art. Thus, the pedagogy of light implies the arts, sciences, and education that exist in the effects of light, and how these come together to offer a transdisciplinary view of the content and learning that occurs in the lives of children. Light in childhood, from sunlight to artificial lighting, light appears in children's lives in many forms and ways, each of which is met with immense beauty and potential for learning. The pedagogy of light is part of their everyday world. It is about playing with this element, natural artificial lighting, to give warmth and character to the different spaces and proposals. With natural light, children can discover reflections through different materials such as CDs, mirrors, cellophane paper. They can create a rainbow, discover shadows, make projections with different elements such as translucent objects, bottles with colored water, or just follow the path of the sun. And then with artificial light, there is particular investigation of the phenomena in which rays of light are dissembled, refracted, reflected, diffracted, propagated, and emitted. Use sensory materials with a new point of view, materials such as gel beads, shaving foam, paint, rice, precious stones, loose parts. Discover transparent, translucent, and opaque materials What's special about each of them? There is so much to discover.
What is lighting up in here? And I get up in here. It's lighting up in here.
So what type of play does light inspire? In an unconscious and almost arbitrary way, children play with the properties of light in multiple ways. For instance, they explore the effects of reflection when they see objects, when they look in the mirror. They discover that with the inside of a spoon, they can be seen upside down. They investigate what a torch generates for a toy animal, moving the light beam closer and further, projecting a shadow, making it bigger or smaller. They explore digital projections, colors, and even translucent object shadows with a portable projector. And how do they make connections? This type of play opens the door to the physics of light, optics, art, and everything else. In addition, when working with a specific light source, such as the projector or a light table, children are encouraged to focus their attention on that action. In this case, the light table, projector, torches, they become a container for action. They contain and sustain focus, offering the space where game and reasoning takes place, with clear limits of where it begins and where it ends. Playing with light becomes both a scientific, a playful, creative, artistic activity. Light and play unites different disciplines in a beautiful and harmonious way. Under the effects of light, everyday objects are transformed. In addition, light takes sensory play a step further, offering a visual beauty that cannot be found in any other situation. And then here we'll share resources for the exploration of light. Resources speak to our emotions, fear, joy, awe. They activate our senses. When combined with elements of design, materials of light invite exploration to uncover what makes us curious. Materials of light, when presented as an art form, think a museum, causes curiosity, questions, and awe for its beauty. Here you see some of the materials that we have at our school. They can be used in different spaces to explore various concepts of light, such as colors, shapes, compositions, transparency, shadows, qualities. Shadow play with colanders, baskets, and objects with holes. Children are fascinated with this type of play. They normally take the colanders or the objects that have holes, and then they'll put it against the lamp and see what it projects. And it's always interesting and exciting to see the different shapes that will project once they're on the walls. This is our playground, and we love taking translucent objects outside. Normally, we have the translucent bottles, we bring out reflective trays, we bring out plexiglass mirrors. All of these create these exciting surfaces for the sun to reflect, nature to reflect, and it just makes it beautiful. Our children began being exposed to light at age 12 months. So at a very young age, they are already playing with light. And you can tell that this child has experience by the way that she's handling the light. We have projectors in all our classrooms. This projector is portable, and the children, in this case, used it as a light table. They started placing translucent materials and opaque materials. What you see it being casted to the top, to the roof. We have white panels throughout the classrooms. Here we have an exploration of light with bubbles. And as you can see, the children were given torches. They also had the lights that changed colors, and it also changed the bubble structure, and they had a magnifying glass to see it up close as well. We've used shadows, shadow puppies to study social emotional. The Color Monster is a popular book, and it's a book, and the monsters they love. So we explore social emotional concepts through light. Numbers, letters, shapes on a projector. There are endless possibilities with the projectors. In this case, we had white paper on the wall, and as you can see, they were doing marking the paper for them to recreate shapes. And then on the other side, you'll see a video of the classroom that has a multiple of translucent materials and also projecting shapes onto the wall. Light and art. This was, there were branches and leaves that the children picked up. And it's not seen clearly from this image, but the shadows, depending on where the lamp is placed, they can see the shadows being casted on the paper, and then the children make drawings. And then we have building materials and light, which is what you see behind me. And as you can see, they're materials that you can find just anywhere, recyclable materials, objects that can cast color, shadows. This is something that children are just fascinated, like what will cast a shadow, what will cast a color shadow, and then they create their own play. They create what you see here. I mean, they can pick up and do as they like. We don't know what meaning the children will give to these materials until they play with them. So using materials that you already have in your setting, we invite you to play with them in new ways that you had not thought about before. What happens when two mediums such as clay and light meet? Be curious to explore its possibilities. Materials will help you understand children's thinking processes. They will help you think about your thinking, about your practice. Be intentional about the stuff that you choose to inspire thinking and wonder in your environment. These are tools and objects of light wonder. It is important to understand that we document all of our experiences. We document how the meaning that children give to these materials because it's part of our research. One last thing that I wanted to mention about this slide is that you see the white panels, like I mentioned before, they're used throughout the school. They're very inexpensive cardboard panels, and that's a very small space. There are just 4 of them being used, but the white panels will allow us to be able to cast the shadows and any type of projections. And this concludes my presentation, but before I leave, I want to leave you with a quote from Loris Malaguzzi. We can provide opportunities for children to explore ideas that are rich and valuable, ideas that cut across curriculum domains, and ideas that allow for children to make connections in ways that make sense to them. We can be intentional in our planning, providing an array of provocations, materials, and experiences, and also to be responsive to the wonderful ideas children come up with in the directions that they decide to go in. We can decide as collaborators in the learning process to get excited about learning from and with children. We can dedicate ourselves fully to the value that there should be nothing without joy for ourselves and for the children we teach. Thank you for allowing me to share this presentation with you.
Paula can give you insights into how the children found the experience, how they interact with it, the documentation, the theories behind it. Thank you, Paula. As you can see, it's really exciting. For me, it's about the curiosity. It's about that curious child, the problem-solving child. It's also about perseverance. And some children will really sustain their concentration when they are immersed in the building, the construction. It could be that they're building a busy street. But instead of being on the sidelines, they can be in amongst it and the shadow effects around them. I think it's really motivating. I love the sense of exploration. I love the fact that ordinary materials such as this, which are just, we're going to go in the recycling bin, but when you put it in front of a screen, in front of the projector, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Paul and I have collated a picture gallery. It reflects just a few of the many possibilities that learning with light can offer. We hope this may be a source of inspiration for you. so many opportunities, so much so that we're putting together a collection of catalysts and ideas in a book that will be available later on, where we explore looking at materials and how it's endorsed by the theory. Light really does have qualities to it that gives the children a sense of wonderment, of magic. The child here, as you can see, is at the heart of the play. They're the instigator, the curator. They're the explorer. They're the ones who do the experimentation. So I think you can see how light has so many possibilities. It's about creating magical, mesmerising and memorable moments for the child. Thank you.